This clip is brought to you by VegasWinners.com. Get expert sports betting advice from some of the best handicappers in the world. Head on over to VegasWinners.com and win yourself some money.
All right. Michael McClanahan is up next. He said, I love when JR talks about the business side of wrestling. So if you don't mind sharing, who were some of the wrestlers that were very in tune to the payoff structure, and who would want to learn how discretionary pay was determined? Do you remember any memorable conversations around this topic?
Well, you always have memorable conversations about money, especially in a business where a lot of guys don't manage their funds real intelligently, and they eliminate things they should be doing, like paying their quarterly taxes. Rock was always interested. I'll put it this way: most of the top guys would ask what the house was. Or because they would, in their mind, they had their own little formula and their own personal computer to process that information and then give themselves what they perceive to be a somewhat accurate estimation. But the top guys are more interested in it. The guys in the bottom of the card, the middle of the card, they were more concerned about, keeping their bills paid and getting their income up. So, but if you're in that era, the smart guys, the ones that were paying attention, were asking questions, and they were trying to get ahead of the curve on how much they're going to make. And that was only because some of those guys weren't doing it because they were broke. They were just concerned about the accounting. And am I getting a fair shake? You guys get the first count, blah, blah, blah. All the same old wrestle speak. That, discretionary is another thing. It's just very challenging to explain. It was discretionary. It's discretionary within some guidelines. You always have a percentage of your net gross goes to talent. And I remember I worked in different scenarios. I've been where it was 35% of that, 30% of that. I didn't create that. That was an accounting thing. And so when I get my sheets with everybody on the card and all that stuff, then it would say on there how much money I had in my talent pool for that event. And then it would be my discretion to break those monies up and to what I thought was fair to the card. So that's kind of how that worked. But everybody should be interested. And for more reasons than that, am I getting screwed? Oh, I got cut. That was just I got a shiv in my back. I think Steve Blackman said one time that I pencil fucked him.
Oh man, with a number 2.
And I said, I guess you arrived at that conclusion, Steve, through all your years of forensic accounting and within the pro wrestling payroll structure. Great. As in never. So a lot of guys too, not speaking this for Steve, because I don't think he'd be one of these guys whatsoever, but some of them are just overspending. They were counting on that next check to catch them up on their Visa card or their MasterCard or whatever. So it was always an ongoing dialogue. When you add the element of discretionary income into their deal, then it can become controversial. So what I just tried to do was be honest and fair, and had never had an issue sitting down with somebody and talking about it.
Outside of the pencil fucking that went on between you and Steve Blackman, is there any other kind of crazy story that just stands out in your mind? You don't have to drop a name, but just something about money and a wrestler that just absolutely blew your mind. It still stands out to you this day.
Well, there's just a lot of ignorance.
Yeah.
A lot of ignorance when it comes to that area of wrestling. In those wrestling camps, those wrestling schools, I am under the impression, having never attended a class, that they teach them flat backs, how to protect themselves and their opponent, et cetera, fundamental skill sets. But I don't know if they teach them about saving money or how the payroll works in the old days. Now, see, that's changed so much. I don't know that anybody pays with discretionary income. Everybody's got a deal. You know what you're getting. So then it becomes a deal where you can't say, well, I got behind on my taxes because I didn't know what I was going to be making. You're on salary. And like our guys at AEW, some of them work indie dates. I think that's good for them, actually. I wish more would do it because it helps their skill sets and refines their game. You can't get better working 1 day a week unless you're already there. I think that that's an area that doesn't get covered. I paid somebody for a WrestleMania and 6-figure payoff, and they're very happy. And then the next year at WrestleMania, they're on the card, but not in a match that even came close to equaling the hype of the previous year's match. So in other words, they went down the card.
Sure.
You go from a semi-main or a whatever to mid-card.
Yeah.
They were thinking because it already made 6 figures on the previous WrestleMania that it'd be 6 figures on this one too. And it wasn't. And I had a hell of a time trying to explain that. And here's what I came to. They were counting on that money to pay off debt. It could be a Louis Vuitton bag or a Rolex or whatever the hell, some toy. I guarantee you it's probably something they didn't need. So, the first thing I would have done is taken that money and I'd have gone to my accountant and I got my quarterly taxes paid. That's what I would have made sure that was done before I went shopping. So, but it's always been that way. Now that everybody's under a contract and they get a guaranteed sum, if you're bitching about your pay, then why did you agree to the terms?
Yeah, there's structure in place now.
Yeah. So, and I think that's good.
Yeah. Adam Arpin is up next, and he says, did Gerald Briscoe or anyone else ever discuss bringing in Jack Briscoe to work alongside Gerald and Pat during the feud with the Mean Street Posse?
No, not at all. It never was considered. When Jack left the Newark airport, I was headed back to Florida, and he said he was done. He was done. So no, that was never any dialogue along those lines.
All right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe this is real, but we not only got a handicapper, but we got the best ever. How are you so good at handicapping ththese games? I mean, 4-0, that's quite a streak already.
Well, let's talk about every pick I've given this year in the NFL as an example. 23-8. Every pick I've given this year. 4 weeks in the bag, 23-8. There's nobody in the country that can match what I do, but I always make sure, because anybody, Conrad, could make up anything. They could tell you and blow smoke and tell you, oh, I'm the greatest. But I am independently monitored and documented, so nobody could ever question what I say and go, I don't believe it. I send every pick to an independent monitoring and documentation service that has to get the pick before the game goes off and then publishes it after the game goes off so anybody can see what I gave. But this is the best start I've ever had. I've never been this good to start a season. You don't win every week, 4 weeks in a row, everything you put out. It's been the kind of year I've had. So get on a hot streak, because when a guy's on a hot streak like me, you want to ride it. I've always had a talent for picking winners. Never quite as hot as I am right now, but I've always been very good at it. And I think it's because I do more homework than anybody else. The average guy or gal watching this podcast, they don't have time. They have a career. They have jobs. They might read the newspaper or go online and see something, but they don't have time 80 hours a week to study the games. That's what I do. And I have a crew of guys behind me, my consultants, who every week we get together 3 times a week and they throw their ideas at me. I throw my ideas at them. And then I pick the final 5 plays on Saturday and Sunday in college and pro football. So, I mean, I've got a great team behind me too, but we're all doing together hundreds of hours of homework. So you don't have to. It's all at vegaswinners.com.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to vegaswinners.com right now. Let's win some money.
All right, here we go. Let's do rapid fire and we'll finish this. Joe Miner. In the Attitude Era, anytime WWE ran Providence, Rhode Island, they would sometimes do bar fights at the Friendly Tap, owned by referee Tim White. Was there ever any pushback from him with all the wreckage that would happen, and have you been in contact with Tim White recently?
I have been. As a matter of fact, I owe him a signed photo for his brother, and but Timmy had never said no.
Mm.
And by the way, any damages that were done, he was reimbursed for handsomely. You know, we didn't barely cover the cost. It helped him have a good night and to be able to remodel a little bit on Vince's dime.
So he was inviting you in every time you were in town.
Never had a problem.
Jittered.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.